Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me in another episode of Strategy with Jason. This is a very special episode where I get to talk to everybody that's going to be speaking at the Kain Auto Event next week. If you haven't gotten your ticket, you need to get your ticket right now. You need to go to kain.auto. All right, buy a ticket. The first hotel's already booked, but there's like 3 more, so don't even worry about it. You need to go. It's going to be an amazing event. It's one of my favorite ones every year, because it's just such great collaboration between vendors and dealers alike. And today we have an amazing vendor and someone that we get to talk to about everything when it comes to the almighty phone. All right, I have Stephane with me with Car Wars. Stephane, how are you doing today, sir?
Good, Jason, and really appreciate the opportunity to spend some time on the podcast and answering a few questions and getting excited about meeting a few people at the event.
I'm excited too. This is just one of those cool events where it's just like, with the size that it is, it's like, I know once you guys are done with your keynote, that anybody out there watching and listening to that keynote, they can walk right up to you or Cassie and just get into a conversation about it, and I think that's one of the coolest things about this event. So Stephane, what I'd like to do today is I love kicking off these podcasts with a little origin story. Because I'm generally fascinated, right? And especially with your background and the amazing companies that you've participated and been a part of, I got to hear this origin story. So Stephane, how did you get started in this crazy little world we call the automotive industry?
Yes, sir. Happy to share, Jason. I was a regional sales director myself, working for a phone company that specialized in 2 lines to 200 lines. And back in the day, in the mid 90s, dealerships were all on single business lines. Mm-hmm. And one of our salespeople stumbled into the chief operating officer of the Nally Automotive Group in Atlanta. And Nally became, Jim Nally had this idea of building with his partners, David McDavid in Texas, Luther Coggin, and a bunch of others, this little company known today as Asbury Automotive Group.
I think I've heard of them.
Yeah, you've heard of them a little bit. Currently, David Holtz, the CEO, and an amazing guy himself, and has really grown that organization. I spent 12 years with Asbury. I gave a 3-month notice and left January 9th of 2012. And January 12th of 2012, I went to work for a little company called Auto Trader.
Ooh, I think I've heard of it too.
So as a matter of fact, I just talked to a former president this morning, Jim Franchi, who's a bit of a mentor to me. He was the chief operating officer for Chip Perry, who they're just 2 great, amazing individuals. Yeah. I worked with them for 8 years. I worked at a company called Flex Drive that we later sold to, which was a part of a Cox company. We sold to Lyft. And then I went to work for the Presidio Group, and they are the 800-pound gorilla in the M&A space.
They are.
I'm a strategic advisor with them still today. I did a 1-year stint at Pure Cars. Aaron Sheeks now runs that organization, and we look forward to them doing great things in the future with their CDP. And then an old-time friend by the name of Cassie Broemmer reached out and asked me if I'd be interested in coming to lead the team here at Car Wars.
That's awesome.
And Jason, the coolest thing of the whole story was when I was at Asbury, I wrote a contract for Car Wars to be at Asbury. So they were a customer of mine 100 years ago. And who knew that where I started my career in telephony with Nortel, that Car Wars was a customer of mine that began like in 2006, and later I'd be leading the company in 2024.
Man, Stephane, you've worked for some Goliaths, all right, in the industry. And I imagine like we could probably fill a podcast just with some of the fishing stories that you have to share. So, but I'm excited that it got into your blood. I'm excited it stayed in the blood. You've been in the industry for such a long time. Very serendipitous, all right, for you to to get Cardsworth signed on when you're with Asbury, and now finally be working with them. That must just be really cool. That must just be like, oh wow, this is
it was just it was a beautiful moment. And a lot of you talk about customer service. We have an award here called the Conrad Award. And Conrad has been with our organization for 26 years. When I had problems at Asbury on a Saturday or Sunday, because we weren't blue law states and we worked, and when we had a problem with a phone line, I could call Conrad. Conrad still takes calls for BHA today, for Hendrick, some of the bigger groups. He is amazing. And I think that's one of the beauties of this organization is the culture and the people and the care and the honest care they give for their clients.
Well, look, when you can retain that kind of talent, you guys are definitely doing something right. And look, I've always been a big admirer of Car Wars, and that's why one of the reasons. Look, I'm an admirer of you and an admirer of Car Wars, so I'm excited for your and Cassie's keynote that's going to be coming up. Love the title, by the way. I am a bit of a Lord of the Rings fan, I hate to say it. So when I saw it, I was like, the power of the ring. Right, leveraging the phone for dealership success. I was like, oh man, I hope they really dive into that theme. But also so timely, right? Yeah. I mean, look, for the last few years, we've been able to kind of coast along, and it's like that's not the case anymore. I love. I know people talk about this time and they're like, oh my gosh, but I actually love when you see resets like this. I mean, Stephane, you saw resets back in 2008,
yeah.
And they were healthy. They were good for the industry.
That's right.
But I digress. But let's get into your guys' keynote. What are maybe 2 or 3 key takeaways that you hope dealerships take away and implement into their dealership strategies?
Sure. I will begin with this simple little one. One of my mentors at Asbury is now a CFO for one of the largest privately held groups in the country. And I was running through some product ideas with him and our dealer advisory board. And he said something, Jason, I hope it resonates with you. He made the comment like, you have to make the dealer principal make investments in their team members. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to spend $100 to $1,000 to $10,000 to $100,000 on your marketing budget, the most important lead for any dealership is that telephone call, whether it's to sales or to service. If you can't properly handle the phone, and our tagline here is we help dealers own the phone. And so we make investments to help them own the phone. We've released 10 products at NADA. We had the biggest NADA show in the history of our 27-year existence. One of them is the call coaching. The other one is a scorecard. And the other one is really about the work that we're going to be doing on the service drive, because fixed absorption is incredibly important and close to my heart. And if we can make fixed ops cover the majority of the expense of a dealership, we're ahead of the chart, and the dealer and partner will know that we are the right partner to be paired with.
Well, and it's operationally so insanely timely. Earlier this morning, I was consulting with one of the dealer groups that I consult with. And I mean, Stephane, the floor plan, just the cost, the interest.
They haven't seen this ever, right? It's been a hot minute.
It's insane. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is a big dealer group, but we're talking millions of dollars, all right, in just monthly floor plan interest. And, I've seen, and I love the fact you bring fixed absorption rates, because it's not what they used to be. I mean, look, I continue, but very, very timely.
Yeah. So, one of the benefits of our latest technology, everybody's on this kick about AI and machine learning and data lakes. Well, I can assure you, we may not have had AI back in the day at Asbury, but I will assure you that Century Interactive, who The reason we differentiate ourselves from most everybody in the space is we own our own switch. So our traffic is not rented or a shared service from another business. When you're doing business with Car Wars, you're on your own called switch. So when a sales or service person hangs up on a phone call and they're integrated into any CRM system that you would like to speak of, in 2 seconds, they can get call coached on where they need to improve and what they could have said different in a very quick and timely manner. And if we move into the AI section of the world, we are now doing a call it a scoreboard, if you will, a mystery shop scoreboard that will do every phone call inside the dealership for sales and service via or versus using a secret shop for nearly 50% less, and have yourself a very accurate and clean way to be able to evaluate which talent needs the most help instantaneously. Because the days that we were in business, we used to have to jump in, listen to 5 phone calls, and go pulling your hair out. So now I got less hair. And
I was going to say, look, it's gone. It's gone.
Yeah, right on.
That part right there is my dealership. The other part's my kids. But no, but
that's awesome.
You're so right. I mean, look, that was the first 30, 40 minutes of my morning, right?
Yeah,
It was just listening and just cringing, and I had very, very strong coffee back then, I had to swallow something,
Yeah, right on.
But like, I just recently heard a stat that kind of blew my mind. The average salesperson at a dealership right now, all right, has been in the industry for less than 2 years. Over 60% of salespeople in our industry now has been in the industry for less than 2 years. And I mean, what a tool that's so incredibly important, right? I mean, look, conversations lead to sales. If we're not optimizing those conversations, anyways, go ahead. I digress.
No, Jason. Listen, that gives me great food for thought as well, because the reality is, if you go back to the expense structure of what your marketing budget is, and you go back to what my mentor / CFO said, how do you not spend $2,500 to make an investment to train and educate in the betterment and improvement of your people?
100%.
I'll give you a little stat that really might shake this podcast. Last year in 2023, we recorded 290 million minutes of recorded data.
What?
The closest to us, from what I've heard, is 85 million minutes.
Wow.
So what we do is really about taking and learning and educating. And, I give special thanks to our teammates here at Car Wars. They are vested, they believe in it, and we have a culture of standing behind each other. I got to thank our dealer advisory board and our top clients that challenge us and make us better. Well, listen, we're trying to improve every day, just like every other business. But the reality is, Jason, it's tough to be great on the phones. And that's why we try to make that moniker stand about owning the phone. If you own the phone, we released a study and we shared it with David. And I encourage anybody at the event, if you'd like for us to be able to send you a copy of it, find Cassie or myself at the event.
Yes.
We'll make sure to give you a study. From what we see on sales and service in Q4 of 23, we're still hovering around a 23% leakage plus or minus for service and plus or minus for sales. And if the leakage is that large, and a lot of people go, oh, Stephane, isn't 65% pretty good? And the fact of the matter is, if a dealer, put it this way, when I was at Cox, there were no shortage of white papers.
Mm-hmm.
And you could go to one of their websites, pull down, the studies haven't changed. The percentages are nearly identical. But the reality is, if you, the consumer, don't get the scheduled service appointment or the assistance you want in ascertaining information on a car, you aren't waiting for a voicemail or a voice transfer. You're calling the next dealership.
You're 100% right. And one of the things you kind of said, and I love finding rabbit holes, but one of the things you said, like it's you can't do an amazing phone call every single time, right? Like here's the thing. Like if you blindfold yourself and step up to the plate and keep swinging, eventually you will probably hit the ball. Right. But it's the consistency of connecting, which I think is insanely. And I think one of the coolest things that you guys are going to be kind of reviewing is just the importance of that consistency. And then to your point, leakage. I mean, look, we can't be complaining about how high our floor plan interest rates are and how bad sales our volume is if we have all these other holes in the boat that are spilling stuff out here, there, and everywhere. And to your point, I mean, the number one, contact or connection with our clients is on that phone, right? Like, conversation is the key to profitability. And if we're not investing in creating and developing better conversation strategies, with technologies, then don't be complaining about other things.
Yeah. That is really well said. And when you think through the thousands of dollars that are spent in marketing budgets to not make tens of thousands. And if they're big stores, as we both know, some of those budgets are in excess of $50,000 a month.
Plus,
that might only be their SEM display ad, But how you don't, all of these ad components, displays, search, listings, blah, blah, they're all derived to get a lead. The lead, the most valuable lead in all of automotive, will be a phone call.
100%.
And you have to hit the home run on the phone call. Now, a lot of people will say, or as David did earlier about texting, well, shocker, we're probably the only company in all of automotive that scans all the texts that come into the dealership as well. And guess where we park all the text? In the CRM. So you only have one place to look, the place you're supposed to be working out of, right? So I can't echo and put, the hammer down enough. Like, it's a small expense to get really personalized, to make investments in your employees, to get really good throughput and not get the leakage, and to close 2 or 3 deals that might cover the expense of some of your marketing budget, much less our small little pocket change.
Well, Stephane, I know this has been a wonderful conversation. I know we're towards the tail end of our time. And I'm excited. Like, it's the power of the ring. Right? By the way, if you guys decide to make that a T-shirt, can you make one?
We'll get you one.
There we go. Like, I'm serious. I'd show up with that T-shirt any day. Anyway,
I love it.
Hey, before I let you go, Stephane, for everybody out there watching and listening right now who would maybe you'd love to connect with you or learn more about Car Wars, what's the best way to do so?
Well, first of all, please reach out to me. Probably the easiest way is on LinkedIn. And then secondly, my email address, sferri, Ferri, at carwars.com or callbox.com. Either one will get you there. And I look forward to hearing from anybody, and certainly helping anybody operationalize and improve their business is super important to us.
Absolutely. Hey, everyone out there watching, listening, we really appreciate your time. Stephane, thank you so much. You have yourself an amazing day.
Thank you, Jason. Back at you. Thanks for your time.